This week, the Deputy Minister of Communications, Stella Ndabeni-Abrahams, is set to participate in the inaugural South African Communications Forum Achievers Awards, where top ICT leaders will be awarded for their commitments. The Deputy Minister will also unveil a content program that will promote TV and movie productions to high school students. She joins me to discuss the ICT sector as well as content production and other related matters. And Deputy Minister, pleasure to have you with us on the program. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Tim, and of course, good afternoon to all the viewers that are watching us now.
No, thank you very much. Firstly, let me start right away with the less controversial matters. Friendly stuff first.
You can be nice, you're allowed to be.
That's it. Now, the ICT awards, the concept behind them, and the people that you will be recognizing. Tell me a bit more.
But Tim, what we're trying to do is to say there's lots of people that have put effort in ensuring that they make this sector shine. Now we're saying if you're doing a great job, we have a responsibility to reward the good that you're doing. We do this because we also want to make sure that we tap into those that think that things are not doable in the ICT sector. This is a very crucial sector in our country. It contributes positively towards the growth of our economy, and therefore we feel like it's worthwhile that we acknowledge those that have done an outstanding job to make sure that South Africa or South Africans are not left behind in the uptake of the ICT.
But now, is it the big shots who've made huge amounts of money, the big companies in the ICT sector that you're going to recognize, or the emerging ones, or the technology development types that work in the sector?
All right. We believe in the concept that you don't have to be big to be the best. Therefore, we award everybody that has played a major contribution. We will be having different categories. The first one, for example, is the one that looks at ICTs in terms of SMME. That's an SME that probably would have existed for 2 years, and it has about 100 to 200 full-time employees, and not just an extension of a branch that comes from wherever, but South African-based. Here in this country, those are the SMMEs that will be. We have a top ICT SMME category. From there, of course, what can we do? Can we drive ICTs without acknowledging the role that has been played by young people in the sector? We do have the top young person in the ICTs. We're encouraging between the ages of 18 to 35 to say they saw it important that they're not going to only use the technologies, but they're going to be innovative and creative to say, what is that we can do to make difference in our country towards or utilizing the ICTs? So we'll be recognizing those again. Can we leave the women behind? Definitely. The world would not move forward if women are not part of it. There are women who have made great strides in ensuring that they encourage not just other women, but the society to utilize these technologies that we're talking about and go to an extent of imparting the skills to say you can do it. You can be the best wherever you are. That's the third category. We have about 7 categories, so I hope.
But much as I said something about the big companies, I hope they're not excluded from all of this.
Definitely we cannot, because as I said earlier, everybody that has played a major role in the ICT industry, that's driving it, that's changing the landscape, we are there to acknowledge that work that has been done.
Now, let's talk about Tim Modise. I think we should talk about Tim Modise.
I said you're allowed to be nice.
All right. Well, he says data must fall, you see, so, and he was invited to Parliament, so he should be a person of interest to you as the department, right? And what he's calling for. What is your view as a department regarding the costs of data? And he highlighted the issue, and together with many other people, of course.
Actually, as the department, you will recall that at some point in 2013, when we were still one department, TTPS and DOC, we did produce something that we're talking to the cost of communication. Then we're focusing on voice. But we are saying if the communication is acknowledged in the Constitution that people must have access to communication and information, therefore it means it has to be accessible. And accessibility talks to the cost, because if it's at high cost, our people will not be able to get the information, nor will they be able to communicate with others. Therefore, yes, we are looking at that. But as I said earlier, as government, we have a responsibility of not only looking at one particular element. We've got to look into the entire holistical approach. Do we have the relevant infrastructure? Because as we compare these countries that we are saying, if you, MTN and Vodacom can charge cheaper in Nigeria, what's stopping you from doing so in South Africa? We've got to take into consideration the infrastructure that we have in South Africa. What is that makes it to be costly? Is it because we are not yet there to manufacture these technologies in terms of the tablets and everything else? Because it's not only about the data, it's the entire communication platform that you must have. Because if the data is cheaper, but the cell phones and the tablets are too expensive, still that will go to higher prices. And therefore the service providers will have to add that at a higher cost. So what we are saying is that we appreciate people like Tibotage who come forward to say, as we say as government, that people first, make it a point that our people have access to this at a reasonable price. But at the same time, we must not seek to destroy the industry that provides this. We've got to make sure that we look into all the aspects. That's why when we talk about the rollout of broadband, we are focusing on those. We have to deploy infrastructure so that we're able to come up with regulations and policies that say, if we have deployed the infrastructure, you have no excuse. You've got to make sure that our people can access the services the way they're supposed to.
Well, I hope, some of the things you mentioned will happen, and we trust that they will, because government has been criticized for the delays in terms of digital migration, for instance, and how much progress have you made in that regard?
Actually, but Tim, even there, it is not government that has delayed the process of digital migration. As government, we have always been clear that this is what we want to see happening in our country for the benefit of our people, of course. But the matter has been delayed by the industry players. As you know, that we do not migrate as government. Only the broadcasters that migrate. And therefore, if they do not agree amongst themselves, it delays the process. Hence, you see them taking us to court, because at some point they were in one voice, and then later on they have divergent voice. And as government, our interest is to make sure that our people are not left behind. That is why we said we're going to forge ahead. We're not going to wait. We're going to come up with a policy, but we respect the court so much that if the matter is taken to court, we must respect and wait for the outcome. So that's what is lagging now, and of course today.
But what's happening in the Northern Cape then in terms of switching off the analog broadcasters? Are you getting ahead of the broadcasters by going digital anyway? And those who are not ready or are not going to switch on or switch to digital will be left behind. What's going to happen?
One thing that we prioritized was to say we've got to give more attention and focus on the SKA areas. As you know, those people could not access anything from television services. But we said these ones are not complicated. They require satellite anyway. So we're providing that to them. As I'm talking to you, Tim, right now, we are at plus minus 85% coverage of the people in that area. I'm proud to announce again that by the 28th of this month, we would be switching off analog in that area. You will recall that the rollout of this program is done in phases. We've got to move from Northern Cape. We've got to target the provinces that are in the borders with other countries to avoid interferences. So as we move from Northern Cape, we have Free State, we have Limpopo that is also bordering on other countries, to say, let's start with those, let's prioritize them so that we avoid the interferences. As the time goes on, of course, we're going to move, and then we're going to arrive in Gauteng, and even you guys will migrate.
So we must be patient, right?
You must be patient.
And our patience will last for how long? 2 years, 3 years?
Just be patient. You just have faith in us.
We can invest 1 year, most definitely, but I doubt that we've got any additional year after that.
Definitely, if you engage those that are delaying us, we are hoping that we can start even tomorrow.
Oh, good.
The matter, let it be taken out of court. Let everybody
well, I trust
play
our
their
viewers,
role.
they'll take you on your word and say, okay, now we've sorted out the court cases. Let's get going with the digital transmission. But talking about that, the DAB process, again, if you can update us on that, because there are many content producers out there who really want to participate and get their content out. What is the story?
We're encouraging every player or interested player in that sector to make sure that they get ready as we process our policies with the regulations that they're going to be finalized. But like I said, one thing about this government is that it consults a lot. We're a democratic government. We cannot go ahead without achieving sufficient consensus or majority on the things that we're putting in place. So as soon as we finalize, because we've got to follow all these processes and know that we are done with this leg and therefore we're able to move to the next leg. But one thing that we're certain about is that we've got to make sure that our people are able to showcase the content that they've been working on, relevant content and quality, which is why we also support the call by the public broadcaster on 90% local content. That's the same thing we want to see in all platforms that let the people of South Africa tell the stories of their country the way they are. We do not want them to sugarcoat. We do not want them to bring shiny things. But all we are saying, tell the story of Mama Mamfene, who sits in Eastern Cape, that yesterday could not be able to take his daughter, or I mean her son, to a school. But today, because of the intervention, it's there. Don't just pretend as if nothing has been done, or we did not come from a past that said you cannot be there. So all we are saying is that everybody must get ready. As soon as we finalize all the relevant processes, we're going to roll out and do what people expect us to do.
Well, you just mentioned the public broadcaster now. Let's go there. Let's talk about the public broadcaster. The public broadcaster, the board of the SABC appeared before Parliament, and they were asked by members of Parliament to present, and after that they said they should resign because they failed in their duties. What is your view of the way the board of the SABC has been handling the affairs of the SABC, including the appointment of the former COO, Hlaudi Motsoeneng?
One thing, Tim, that I must first explain. When I come here as a deputy minister, I cannot have my view.
Yes.
I work within the collective that is there, that takes decision, and I'm bound by the decisions that have been taken.
Yes.
So I cannot say, I, as Stella Ndabeni-Abrahams, says this must happen or this must not happen. Whatever that the governing party has pronounced on, whatever that Parliament agrees on, as long as it's within the Constitution, I support, because I have no other option. I am a member of Parliament that is deployed by the governing party.
And what is the governing party's position?
The governing party's position is that let all the recommendations and the findings by the public protector and what the court has agreed on be implemented. That's why they called for Parliament to institute the inquiry, and the Parliament is busy with that as we are talking.
All right, we got it. Thanks very much, Deputy Minister. In summary, you're saying, whatever has been recommended in Parliament must take effect, basically.
As long as Parliament resolves.
I got you. I understand what's happening. Thank you very much. That's Deputy Minister for Communications, Stella Ndabeni-Abrahams, talking to us here on the program. A whole number of things. In fact, we've got more detail that we could not provide in this short period of time, but we hope to have her back on the program in the future to tell us more.
Definitely, we've got to come back.